I just don't understand a person in American politics in 2024 who's whining about what happened to them instead of using their leadership and using their influence to make the lives of American citizens better.
Now, J.D. Vance can't be serious. Does he know who number 2 works for?
I just don't understand a person in American politics in 2024 who's whining about what happened to them.
You know, it's only 103 degrees out here. You know, they built all these, they call them, sir, we have many water spots. I said, what about one for me? Do I have one? I don't have one, Marco. They gave water spots. Everybody has, they call it a water spot. Where water comes out, you get. They don't have anything for me. I'm being drenched up here.
I'm sitting here for days now, from morning till night, in that freezing room, freezing. Everybody was freezing in there.
And you know what bugs me? When they say, we have 2 very unpopular candidates, Joe Biden and Donald Trump. They're very unpopular. He's unpopular. I'm not unpopular.
The whole thing is a mess, and you have the leading candidate and leading crooked Joe Biden by a lot. He's the one that should be in trouble. He's a crook.
Oh, I hate that. You know, it's terrible. We have 2 very unpopular people running for election. I'm not unpopular. We're not unpopular.
But there was nothing friendly about it. You know, it was nasty. And I thought I did a good job, really. You know, everything was like an unfriendly. It was always, everything was unfriendly. No smiling. No, let's have fun. Let's make America great again.
I wish we had a fair media in this country.
It's so unfair. It's so unfair.
You're never going to treat me fairly, many of you. The worst, most unfair press treatment, they say, in the history of the United States for a president.
What they did to him is very unfair, in my opinion. And what they did to General Flynn is very unfair, in my opinion. And what they did to so many others is very unfair.
I am greeted with a hostile press, the likes of which no president has ever seen. The closest would be that gentleman right up there. They always said Lincoln. Nobody got treated worse than Lincoln. I believe I am treated worse.
Donald Trump complains and whines so much, it's harder to get sound of him being happy about the situations he gets himself into than it is to find times where he calls life unfair. And now that the DNC just wrapped up, he's got a lot of grievances to lie and cry to his supporters about.
Let me ask you this, sir. There has been a huge appeal and momentum for women voters. She's trying to pull the youth vote, the Hispanic vote, the black vote back in her direction. Polls show that she's having some success in that at this point. So what are you going to do? What's your strategy to rebuild the momentum that you had with those voters?
No, she's not having success. I'm having success. I'm doing great with the Hispanic voters. I'm doing great with black men. I'm doing great with women because women want safety. They want safety. No, it's only in your eyes that they have that, Martha. We're doing very well in the polls. We're leading in most of the polls. You're not going to have an auto industry if she gets elected. They're going to all electric cars. All electric cars are going to be made in China.
This shrill, worried man was already spiraling over his inability to find anything substantive to use to poke holes in the Harris campaign. But now that body blows and uppercuts are being delivered on a daily basis, he can't even win the insult battle.
I can't wait to debate the guy. That is, if he's willing to get off the couch and show up. So,
this weird obsession with crowd sizes.
2 days ago, I turned 78, the oldest man in my family of 4 generations. And the only personal vanity I want to assert is I'm still younger than Donald Trump.
Most of us will never be afforded the grace of failing forward. We will never benefit from the affirmative action of generational wealth. We don't have the luxury of whining or cheating others to get further ahead. No. See, his limited, narrow view of the world made him feel threatened by the existence of 2 hard-working, highly educated, successful people who happen to be black.
So since Democrats appear to be excited and rallying around the revised Harris-Walz ticket, their newfound energy is welcomed by supporters. But some are still uncomfortable with the biggest bully finally being punched back.
Have you noticed that this convention, do you think the President Obama's sort of, hand gesture joke at Trump's expense, or Tim Walz sort of talking about the, the debunked couch story with J.D. Vance, do you think that is beneath him?
I mean, look, I still think that we are, as a whole, very much going high not only compared to obviously the Trump-Vance campaign, but compared to the norm in presidential politics. That doesn't mean that we're completely above occasionally the temptation to tweak our opponents on things that are just crying out to be tweaked. Overall, we've done a good job as a party and as a campaign of calling people to what is highest. And that doesn't mean it's all high-minded and highfalutin. I just mean that we're speaking to what is best in people, the ability to look to the future. We're asking people to be bigger.
You know, people that don't like Donald Trump's normalized and widely accepted campaign of being an asshole have the ability to want both visions of the future without him and some significant pushback on his insults, too. Why are we clutching our pearls over some barbs being included in some very valid arguments against his promise to rule over the country like a dictator? They want the Obamas to respect a guy and a party that to this day viciously attacks them for being successful and black.
Those were compelling, well-delivered speeches that were exactly what Kamala needed. And people complaining about the tone or the tenor of it obviously didn't watch the RNC, which was all about demonizing Joe Biden, and have forgotten, I guess, that Donald Trump was an OG birther. Barack Obama and Michelle Obama need never be kind about that man for saying what he did about them.
The fact that anyone thinks Democrats should continue to respect political opponents that don't simply insult them, but use those insults to form a hateful and false narrative about them shows that they don't think respect should go both ways. People literally voted against former President Obama because they bought the birther conspiracies. They were convinced that he was sent by terrorists to destroy America. No one is opposed to J.D. Vance simply because of the made-up story about him humping couches.
There is a weird vibe going on. I can't figure it out. But I will tell you this, Greg. Barack Obama, still the godfather of this machine. He gave us Joe Biden as VP. He gave us Hillary as Secretary of State. Then he cooed Joe, put all his boys with Kamala's team, and had his wingman Holder vet Waltz. Now, the guy's a young 63. He's going to be doing this for the next 25 years. He's definitely going to interfere in this election. That's why we'll be sending Johnny to Hawaii to get the truth about the birth certificate. This time we will dig deep and find out what really happened.
Should Tim Walz greet any Republican that ridiculed and mocked his son over proudly celebrating his father's accomplishments with a smile and a hearty handshake? These guys talk up the principles and heroism of protecting your family at all costs, but would gasp when someone they don't like lives by the same rules. When the people they expect to roll over stop rolling and start playing by the same rules that they always have, suddenly that equality looks like unfairness to people that benefit from it.
Donald Trump has been, for instance, saying that he's going to introduce a big, beautiful health care plan. And there are no specifics on it. And Kamala is being held to a standard where she has to tell you the nuts and bolts of things, where people are saying, you tell us exactly that. She's supposed to talk about her economic plan on Friday. The press is already saying it'll be, quote, light on detail. They don't know. Could it be as light as big and beautiful? I doubt it. One of the strongest arguments that Republicans are trying to make against Kamala is she doesn't include any details. And if people are paying attention to Donald Trump, they know that he is the one who's really the emperor with no clothes. He said he's going to bring down inflation by signing an executive order directing every cabinet secretary and agency head to use every tool and authority at their disposal to defeat inflation, to bring down consumer prices rapidly. Oh, and we'll do it rapidly. What is that?
Nobody tonight said a damn thing. They want you to vote for a ticket based on absolutely no concrete idea about what they would do once they get in office. I think the idea that you could run an entire presidential campaign based on the idea of vote for me to find out what's in it.
Wait a minute,
ought
Scott,
to terrify every American.
Scott, your candidate has done that his entire political career. I mean, Donald Trump does not talk about any policy issue.
Sure he does.
Yeah, he's going to lower inflation. He's going to eliminate inflation. Excuse me. That's on day one.